Alright, fellas, we're going back to back. No Drake. And we're watching a James Bond video. This is Charisma on Command. James Bond. How to be extremely attractive. Because I know y'all want to be extremely attractive. Personally, for me, I just like James Bond. So,
I was rewatching Casino Royale the other day, and this scene really struck me.
You know, James, I just want you to know that if all there was left of you was your smile and your little finger, you'd still be more of a man than anyone I've ever met.
I realized that in so many ways, Vesper is speaking for the audience, because James Bond represents our culture's masculine ideal. Whatever he is what so many young men are kind of wishing they could become. So in this video, I want to investigate who exactly that aspirational man is, because there is definitely something to be learned, some positive traits that we can add to our lives. But there's also some ideas of masculinity that we'd probably be better off discarding.
so basically, what he's saying, or what I'm saying, is you take the points that you like. Don't try to be James Bond. Don't try to copy James Bond. You be your own self. You just take the points that you like from James Bond. Because James Bond, oh, I want to be James Bond. Okay, what do you mean by that? Who is James Bond? Okay, I want to be charismatic. I want to be comfortable under pressure. I want to be the pressure. I don't want to feel the pressure. I want to be that guy with the responses. I want to have that experience to know, oh, she's going to say this. Oh, I'm going to say it like this. And then she's going to smile. I'm going to be all these other things. So don't have that mindset of, oh, I want to be Daniel Craig. I mean, everyone does, bro. Daniel Craig is Daniel Craig. He's the GOAT. But you are you. And you have to be your own GOAT. Don't try to... It's good to have role models. Don't get me wrong. Just don't idolize them to the point where it's just like, wow, he's God. What are you, a fucking fan, dumbass? That's one thing I get. When I'm famous, if you all come up to me and like fucking praise to me, I'm gonna look at you like you have 10 fucking eyes. Don't do that. You are not ready if you do this. You have to be your own independent self. You wanna know why? Because that's what James Bond would do. He would be his own independent self. James Bond he has role models, but he's not a fan. He respects them, but he has his own mission. So, use the points that you like of James Bond. It can be, oh, he has nice cars, and he's intellectual. Take it. And of course, James Bond has some things that we might not do. Oh, he fucking is whatever, XYZ. Okay, leave those and then take the good.
The first thing you cannot miss about James Bond is that he is insanely capable. He's an expert in hand-to-hand combat, Texas Hold'em, sailing, parkour, holding his breath, hacking a computer, driving, kind of, and he's also in fantastic shape without ever seeming to need regular exercise. And that's just what we see.
And that's the thing. I forget who said this. I'm just going to paraphrase it. But it's what you're worth is what you know how to do. And of course your net worth. But most people right now don't have, network. But most people right now don't have a crazy network. We're young. So what your value is what you're capable of. Like he was saying. If you don't know how to do shit, then like what the fuck? I don't want to sound like a dickhead, but it's just like your utilization is pretty low. You want to be that guy. If you want to be James Bond, you got to be that guy who knows how to fix a car tire, knows how to, oh, you're having trouble opening this water bottle, let me open it for you, or whatever. Oh, you're having problems with this one situation. Oh yeah, I did that. I had that. I know how to do it. This is what I did last time to overcome this. Or don't do your form like that. Do it more like this. You know what I'm saying? You just have to be a jack in all trades, truly. You can't just have one maxed out skill and then all neglected skills. James Bond has so many different skills. And yeah, he's experienced, he's older, so all of his skills are going to be like higher up. But it's better to just be multifaceted. It's so impressive. It's 10 times impressive to have someone who knows about so many different things. Like you go to a certain country, and oh yeah, I know all about the fucking Renaissance and this Michelangelo. Oh yeah, the statue actually. You know what I'm saying? So, in my opinion, obviously have a few strengths. However, don't neglect the rest of your. It's like GTA and having only driving maxed out. You need all of them.
In Casino Royale. In other films, he can fly a plane, drive a tank, dance the tango, speak 8 languages. You get the point. The underlying message is that men should just know how to do stuff, which may seem like an empowering message until you realize that none of Bond's skills seem to require any practice or learning.
And yeah, that's an unfortunate standard. Men just have to know stuff. Oh, why don't you know that? Your value is in what you know and what value you provide. Which, if you put it like that, it sounds fucked up. But it's the truth, to be honest. If you were just, you had fucking level 0 and 0 on everything, it's like life. If you're getting a job, they're going to look at the person who's better equipped for that job. At least the places I would want to work at. So, it's life.
And so even though we know that it's just a movie, part of us believes that we should just be good at stuff. That's not how the world works, though. To master any one of Bond's skills would take a lot of unsexy practice time. This is what learning parkour actually looks like.
Oh, see, that was not that clean. That wasn't that good. My heel's touching it. Your heels should never be touching it. If you mess it up, go again. That was nicer.
This is what learning the tango looks like.
So you go forward with the left, forward with the right, forward with the left, side with the right, and then you're going to drag left foot to right foot
in all of his skills.
without...
They take hours, so many hours. And you guys just want the instant results. It's funny, I laugh at you and everyone else laughs at you. Because it's not how it works. It's not like a fucking video game where, oh, I don't want to get this skill, so let me buy it instead. There's no buying shit. You can have all the money in the world and what, you're just gonna buy this fucking program? Bro, you're not... This isn't the Matrix, boy. In some ways it is, but you can't just program something. You have to be trained. And training, unfortunately, yeah, you human beings, you have to do a lot of training. You can't just get the fucking, tango dance, okay, I know everything. It's hours and hours of dedication and hard work. And in my opinion, I agree with the statement of, if it's difficult, it's valuable. Because if everyone tangoed, who gives a shit? Like, he plays guitar, wow. But if everyone played guitar, who cares? Oh, he has a 6-pack, so that's so hot. If everyone had a 6-pack, you would just look like the other guy. And so, yeah, that's what makes it valuable. And I'm glad that there's a barrier. Because if everyone had it, it would just, the most, like, low-quality people. There's no barrier.
Using your feet.
Can you imagine James Bond doing precision jumps for hours with no gap just to get his parkour timing right? Or dancing the tango alone to nail his steps? Probably not, but that would be an absolutely essential piece if he ever wanted to actually have those skills in the real world. So while being capable across a diverse range of skill sets is admirable and can be really fun, you could never achieve that without lots of practice. Expect to be terrible at everything the first time you do it, the first many times.
I emphasize this. Expect you to be shit. If you go on a first date, don't be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get her back in my room and it's raps, boy. Bro, sit the fuck down. Be humble about it. Okay, this first time, I'm gonna go in there and you know what? I'm gonna fuck shit up. I know this is my first time, so I'm not gonna put a lot of pressure on myself. If I put a lot of pressure on myself, then I'm just gonna fold. Because this is my first time. How can I expect myself to do God's work the first time doing it? So, you know, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna have fun. I don't give a shit if she says, oh, I don't want a second date. The goal isn't even a second date. The goal is to have fun. And we're gonna run with it. So you need to really humble your ego. Ryan Holiday is right. The ego is the enemy. The faster you realize that, the faster you will be ahead of people who have an ego and who are on your level. Their ego might work for a little bit, but you're gonna make more progress if you humble yourself and you do it for longer. And you're there for the marathon, boy.
Expect to put in monotonous hours if you want to achieve mastery in any skill, and expect to learn to have to appreciate that journey. It's less exciting than an instant skill set, but it's the only way to learn anything for real. Second, we think of James as a man of action, and he is. But what really defines Bond is his inaction. He is unreactive whenever his life isn't immediately in danger. Sure, when the bullets start flying, he moves like crazy, but when it's just words, he never gets flustered. Watch how he handles being tied up in a chair and simultaneously threatened and come onto by Silva in Skyfall.
Oh, you're trying to remember your training now? What's the regulation to cover this? Well, first time for everything. Yes.
What makes you think this is my first time?
Oh, Mr. Bond.
Or how he calmly handles Vesper.
But facts. I feel like y'all are allowed to... I think this was in the last video that I did with Jack Harlow. It was like whenever someone's talking shit, like, why give them your energy? Be a little bit arrogant, that's fine. Like, why should I give you my time and energy? Why should I give you my words if you're just gonna be a dickhead? Some dumbass. Some NPC on the street. And even if, like, a chick is disrespecting you, like, who are you to say these words? Like, fucking little girl, go away. Some of you guys, little boy, go away. What the fuck? Why are you, like, being weird? So I see this. Oh, she didn't give me your number, her number. Oh, I don't like you anyway. In, like, a sassy way. Because, you know, you can be a little toxic with it. But in, like, a butthurt, sassy way. Where it's just like, bruv. I think it's like chess. You think of when I'm going to give my own attention and when I'm going to conserve my energy because you're not worth my energy respectfully. Or maybe that's just the person how you are. The type of person you are. Because if someone random is just talking crazy, you just look at them and you're just like, loser.
Insults when she says that
So
the poker...
that is a way where you can some technically have somewhat of an ego. It's different.
Game is a terrible idea in Casino Royale.
The boss must be well connected. I've never seen so much go out the door so quickly.
Not quite so stylishly.
Or how he later responds after being poisoned.
Yeah, facts. I feel like I'm gonna let this play, but you guys rewatch this section because this is important. How you react is everything. Your reaction is everything. You can either be... Your reaction is what leads the next interaction. So if you decide to act, what James Bond could have said, or maybe if one of you guys were placed there, hey, what the fuck are you talking about, you dumbass? You know what I'm saying? Some people say that. But he just plays the game of improv. I don't know much about improv, but there's one thing that I learned. It is someone saying something and then you riffing off of it. It's called yes and. Look up yes and improv. Watch a video on that. And this is basically how you do this shit. Because it's just, if I act about her, then what? Like, who cares? I don't really care that much. And of course, there's sometimes you guys stick up for yourself. But these are just, like, who cares? interactions. And these are just like, oh, this person's talking some shit, so let me talk some shit more back. Let me banter with them. Oh, they're you know what I'm saying? So don't take everything seriously. Just have fun. And the more you learn this, it's just like you form the interaction how you want it to. Just like
mid-poker tournament.
I'm sorry. That last hand nearly killed me.
All these are funny moments, but the greater point is that Bond doesn't waste
Swag
energy on needless
of
anger, frustration, threats, or worry. If he can change something to his energy on needless anger, all these are funny moments, but the greater point is that Bond doesn't waste energy on needless anger, frustration, threats, or worry. If he can change something to his benefit, he'll act, but otherwise he just moves on. This makes sure that he doesn't get stuck in his head, reliving past mistakes or worrying about the future. And we would all do well to adopt the same mentality in our own lives. If somebody cuts you off on the way to work, speaks poorly about you, or makes a mistake that wastes your time, whatever it is, don't allow yourself to indulge in getting upset. Instead, just ask what action needs to be taken to shift things. And if there's something that you can do, like speak calmly to that person and ask them to behave differently, go for it. But if there is nothing to be done, like in the case where someone cuts you off, let it go as fast as possible.
Exactly. I'm going to link this video in the description. I want you to watch it just on its own. Again, because watching a video twice is pretty good for retention. I feel like when there's just random shit, someone cuts you off, it's just like, yeah, you can say to yourself, yeah, that guy was a dickhead. But the power of just simply not giving a fuck, like, loser. Or maybe not even loser. Someone explained this as you're driving and there's a bug on your fucking screen. You look at it for half a second and it's just like, alright, whatever. Really not having that I don't give a mentality. So, you can decide. I think of it like this. If you're in a car with someone and they're just like, man, why you get my... It's just like, bro, it's not that serious. Think of it in the third person versus how they would react if it's just like, he's probably on his way to pick up his fucking boyfriend or some shit. There's two different methods, two different ways, some swag.
Knowing what truly matters and focusing on action above your ego will make you a happier, more attractive person. The third thing that you can't miss about James is that women love him. And while James is scripted male fantasy, there's a grain of truth in women's on-screen reaction to him. Women tend to be attracted to those two things that we previously mentioned. James is capable and unreactive. Just watch in this next scene where both of those things are demonstrated. First, that he's capable and that he won a car in a hand of poker. And second, that he is unflustered when he suggests driving this woman home and she says no thanks.
Can I give you a lift home?
That would really send him over the edge. I'm afraid I'm not that cruel.
Well, perhaps you just had a practice.
Perhaps.
What about a drink at my place?
Is it close?
Very.
One drink.
Note that James isn't pushy, nor is he cowardly. He's just flirtatious without fear of rejection. And because he's not worried about her not liking him, she reconsiders. Now, this isn't a guaranteed outcome in the real world, but it does demonstrate one useful point. We are all going to be quote-unquote rejected at some point. Someone in our dating life or professional life is going to say no thanks. Reacting and getting upset only solidifies that no. But remaining playful and not taking it personally creates a chance that they'll actually reconsider. Speaking of playfulness, the way that the rest of the scene plays out demonstrates how all of those aspects come together.
Good evening, sir, and welcome back.
Welcome to my home.
So if there's a lesson here...
By the way, he just drove in a circle. They were already at his crib. The reaction is... I mean, how you want to make it. If you really want to be that guy, just being unreactive. That's what I've been told a lot. Like, oh, if I was in that situation, man, I would be mad. I don't understand how you're calm. Because I don't fucking care. Who cares? Of course, some things matter more than most, but if it's just like some little thing that's just going to take my energy, I'm not giving you my energy. I value my energy. I'm not giving you my time unless it's worth it, respectfully, because you should value your time. Your time should be worth $1,000. And if you think, my time's not worth $1,000, this is why you're not James Bond, bro. And what I actually mean, this is why you don't have aspects of James Bond. Like, he really doesn't care. If he gets rejected, he does not care. He genuinely, in his heart, in his soul, says, okay, I don't give a shit. Why? Because he knows he can get the next chick. And he has 10 waiting for him at home. He has the abundance and he has the confidence of knowing that he can get infinitely more. And while you might be thinking, oh, I hope she doesn't reject me. I hope she doesn't reject me. Oh, fuck, she rejected me. I'm not going to find a chick like her ever again. This is why you're not James Bond. Because he doesn't care. He truly doesn't care. So, the faster you adopt that mindset of not caring, you have to ask yourself, okay, why doesn't he care in the first place? One, he's probably gone through the phase that you've went through. Two, he has built himself up to the point where he has the skill, the characteristics to attract more women infinitely, because it's a skill. You infinitely have it. This is why having the characteristics of something is infinitely better than having your dream girl, where you currently are. Because what if she leaves, then what? You're not going to get a dream girl again. I don't want to win the lottery. Why? Because I don't get the skills, the characteristics that come with having a business that generate me way more money. Lottery is just one-time thing. Okay, what if I get fucking all of it stolen from me? Alright, I'll use it all now. Oh, I'm broke. I have to sell everything. Haha. Dumbass. Stop thinking like this. Stop, I just want the dream girl. I want the dream job. When you get out of the phase of I want these things to then more realistically, I want the characteristics of what comes with it so I can sustain it. Congratulations, you're one step closer to being James Bond.
We can all expect to be rejected in our lives if we go after what we want, but accepting that no is a possible outcome and remaining playful even if it happens creates an inner confidence that is both powerful and attractive. Fourth up, and this is perhaps his...
Yeah, in fact, even if she says no, one, she's just rejecting you off of what she knows about you. You could be the best guy ever, and she could still reject you because she only is making a judgment off of the one interaction that you guys went over in a minute or 2 minutes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So don't take it personally. Don't be butthurt. And just because she says no doesn't indefinitely mean no. Because there are so many times, and if you don't understand this, then maybe you're too young, but there are so many times where she says no, but you marinate in her head. And she's like, oh, shit, like, I see him. Now you planted the seed in her head. And what does the seed have to do? It has to grow and sprout. And she might notice you now. Oh, she rejected you, but she notices you at the gym. Like, oh shit, you know, he's actually kind of cute, fuck. And then time goes by, 6 months or something, try again. Or now she's just like, you know, giving you signals of looking. But of course, if you're a man of action, you don't give a fuck about signals. But in this scenario, you would just be, she said no, so she's missing out, bruh.
most romanticized trait, James is willing to die for his ideals, or at least to be tortured for them. Now, realistically, there's nothing really to be taken from this, as most of us are not going to encounter creative types of torture from Lashif. But there is something metaphorical here, and it's that we admire James because he sticks to his mission in the face of pain, and that's what we all hope to see in ourselves. The things that we're pursuing in our lives may not come easily. It might feel like metaphorically we've been stripped naked and beaten. And what keeps us going isn't necessarily the cool clothes or the fancy cars or the approval of others, which can all be taken away, but our inner conviction to stick to our guns. And that's Vesper's point at the beginning. James isn't a man because of what he has acquired, or even because he has man parts, because at this point she doesn't know if Lashif has damaged him beyond repair. He's a man because of his actions in the face of adversity.
You know, James, I just want you to know that if all there was left of you was your smile and your little finger, you'd still be more of a man than anyone I've ever met.
And of course, James hasn't lost his sense of playfulness, which snaps Vesper right out of her despondent mood.
That's because you know what I can do with my little finger.
I have no idea.
That's game. That is game.
To find out.
Sticking to your guns in the face of adversity clearly isn't something that only men are capable of. So we should all ask ourselves where the hardships are in our lives and if they actually dissuade us from continuing, or if you're capable of laughing them off and staying the course.
In fact, I feel like one thing you mentioned that might have gone over your heads is sticking to your shit or dying for it. An extreme example of this is the Romans. The Romans, surrender or die. You surrender your morals, your values, your virtues, what you live for, or die. They're not surrendering shit. They're going to fight for their own honor until their death, otherwise known as death before dishonor. So you gotta ask yourself, are you really a man of honor? And this is a very in-depth video. If I was you, if I was watching this for the first time, I would watch this multiple times because there's so many different ways. There's, okay, James Bond, what characteristics does James Bond actually have? Breaking it down. How do I be unreactive? How do I die for my morals? What morals do I even have or values that I would die for? And how do I have the mindset of how I would die for these? Because a lot of people in the face of adversity would give up these morals. James Bond doesn't. He'll die for them. So there's a lot of different small things that we can take from this.
Lastly, we have the conclusion of Casino Royale, where Bond becomes Bond after Vesper's betrayal. He learns to trust no one, and he completely shuts down his love for Vesper, as well as any sort of emotional reaction to her death. Just watch.
If you do need time...
Why should I need more time?
Job's done. The bitch is dead.
The message here is that Bond will not open himself up to being betrayed again, and since Bond represents the ultimate in masculinity, it implies that real men don't open themselves up to being hurt. I'm not saying that that's the director's intent, but I think that's how most of us interpret it when we see an ice-cold Bond finally saying his iconic line at the end of Casino Royale.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
By learning to trust no one and wall off emotionally, Bond finally becomes the guy that we've loved for 20 plus movies. And of all the messages about masculinity in Bond, I think this one is the most destructive. Without getting too preachy here, real strength isn't demonstrated by walling yourself up from getting hurt. It's shown by opening yourself up to getting hurt because caring is worth it. All the while knowing that if the worst happens, you have what it takes to pick yourself up and move forward. Yes, losing what you care about sucks, but adopting emotional numbness as a strategy just makes life less vibrant. Now, up until now, I've tried to deconstruct our culture's masculine ideal, and I hope you see that some of it corresponds to pretty healthy behavior, and some of it is more questionable. Which brings me to the big point. Once you start to understand how you may have subtly been influenced by it, you don't have to unthinkingly accept the ideal masculine form in our culture, in Bond, or in any anything. I personally find Bond's unreactivity admirable, and I think learning from him in this area improves my life. The invulnerability that creates walls, that's something I'd rather not deal with, and those are just my feelings. What's most important is that you bring awareness to the ways you might have been unthinkingly striving for someone else's ideal image of a man or a woman or any sort of ideal. Then you can purposely choose your own ideal instead of having it chosen for you. And if you like this video and you want more, you might...
Facts, yeah. I agree with that for sure. You might not understand anything about this video. You might have to watch it when you're older, when you understand. But there's so much things to break down and go even deeper in. I think this is just a great video because it shows that, yes, it is our default setting, our default reaction when we get hurt is just fuck you, like, I'm never doing that again. And you never truly repair the walls. I think that's cope, and the better option is to understand that it's a part of the game. For relationships, for example, I get told this all the time. It's just like, oh, I don't want to open up. Well, you'll never love them. Because to love, you have to be vulnerable, and you have to bring down those walls. And you have to be vulnerable to getting hurt, as well as strong enough to, if you do, you pick yourself back up, like what he was saying. So, there's a deeper meaning to this video. A good fucking video.